Welcome back to the MMA Plug, exclusively on Mile High Sports.
Welcome back to the MMA Plug, presented to you by 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. Give me a follow along online at Comments for the Peanut Gallery. Got to be taking a dive into this week's UFC Fight Night cards going down out in Vegas in the Apex. You have a headliner matchup between a couple of ranked heavyweights in the top 10. You have your fan favorite in Tai Tuivasa, who is coming into this contest, definitely trying to get himself back in the upswing of things. You know, he did have that run where he saw himself getting all the way to the opportunity with Cyril Gane, but he's going to be taking on number 10 ranked Marcin Tybura. This is a couple of heavyweights with a lot of experience, a lot of fights underneath the UFC banner. Tybura is one of those guys who, you know, to me, I think that he shows flashes of being a really good fighter, but then there's other times where he comes out and he just has lackluster performances. Tai is a guy, though, that, I mean, how do you not want Tai Tuivasa to win? If you're, you know, just if you're someone who enjoys the feel-good aspects of the fight game, or someone who is just purely entertaining. I mean, Bam Bam has his nickname for a reason. He goes out there to bang, and the kid from the area, from Sydney, he is as entertaining as it gets. He wants to go out there and put on a show for the fans, and when he does secure those knockouts, who else has an act of that sort named after them? Who branded it? Who created a product in the Shuivasa, Tai Shuivasa? We used to have on this program when Josh was in studio with us all the time. Josh would do a Shui here in studio every single time that Tai Tuivasa won by knockout. I mean, we might have to bring him in next week just to do it just for the process. You know, I mean, we'll see.
Or at least get a video of him doing it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out something along those lines. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Big Ins is usually probably never going to turn down the opportunity for the mountains to be blue either, if you know what I'm saying. In the co-main event, you have Brian Battle, the Ultimate Fighter champion. Pooh Bear's taking out Angelusa. Angelusa, that's another guy who kind of flies under the radar, but is another really quality fighter there in the welterweight division. But the way that Brian Battle's been putting things together in his last few fights, he's really kind of hitting the ground running. He's found his power, and he's putting things together, rounding his game out as a whole. I mean, he's someone who came into that season of The Ultimate Fighter, and he wasn't thought of as one of the favorites or the front runners on that season, but then he goes on just to continue to just keep winning, just keep on finding ways to put himself in positions to succeed, and, you know, kudos to Pooh Bear for that. You have friend of the show in OSP, Ovis St. Peru, taking on Kennedy and Chekwu. OSP, he's certainly on the back nine. I mean, this at any given point, he's one of those guys who this might be his last fight. There was a really great post that Josh Thompson put up on social media last week prior to UFC 299, and he just said, you know, some of these guys who are at the end or at the twilight of their career, appreciate them while you have them. There's a lot of these guys who are fighting over the course of these next few cards. He was mentioning for last week your Gilbert Burns, your RDAs, your Dustin Poiriers. Then now, say on this card, your OSPs of the world, you know, Gerald Meerschaerts. These guys have been around for a long time, and, you know, who knows when it might be the last time that we see them, just because of Father Time being undefeated, plain and simply. But he has a stiff test against him in Kennedy. Kennedy is a guy who is continuing to blossom and get better. He's the biggest light heavyweight on the roster, and he's got crazy durability, aside from the Dustin Jacoby knockout. But this guy is he's a mauler. He's going to be able to weather a storm for the most part and keep on moving forward. OSP, you know, does he catch lightning in a bottle one last time? We'll have to see. The matchup, though, on this main card that I'm really looking forward to, and yes, this is a bit of a homer pick, But you have Christian C. Rod Rodriguez taking on Isaac the Midwest Chapadolgarian. Isaac trains with us. He's a factory Xer. Naturally, rooting for Isaac in this matchup. But stylistically, I think that he is an absolute nightmare for Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez is being forced to move up to featherweight because his last couple of fights down at bantamweight, he was missing weight. And it's no disrespect to his opponents, but he beat up kids in comparison to somebody like Isaac. He beat up Raul Rosas Jr., 18-year-old kid. Beat up Cameron Simon, 23-year-old kid. And he missed weight by like 3 and 4 pounds respectively in each of those fights. So make of that what you will. But when you're got an age and an experience gap in these couple of matchups, along with missing weight by that much, like that's a factor, you know? And someone like Isaac is, he's a problem. He's a violent wrestler who, once he gets on top of you and he starts unloading those elbows, they are literally like hatchets coming down on your forehead. So I look to see a bloody masterpiece and a violent TKO finish from Isaac Dolgarian this weekend. There's a ranked matchup between a couple of ladies here in Pani Kianza taking on Macy Chasson. Opening up the main card, you have a matchup between Gerald Mearshart. GM3 takes on the always tough and always a gamer Brian Barberina. Both of these guys, when you take a look at their record on paper, you say, oh, these are some journeymen. Well, sure, you could say that absolutely by their record, but these are a couple of tried and true veterans who have fought everybody throughout the years. I mean, the collective experience between 35 and 17 against 18 and 11, that's a lot of time in the cage. That's a lot of trips out making that walk. And I think that you're going to see just a scrappy veteran matchup between these two guys. There is the prelim main event. There's a matchup between Mike Davis and Natan Levy. Natan Levy, I really want to see where his development has came along. I mean, he certainly has a lot of skill, but I still don't know if we've seen what his top side is or what his ultimate potential could be. Is this what he is? Does he have the ability to unfold some new leaves to his game and continue to elevate in a very tough division? I think that facing a veteran like Mike Davis is going to be a good indicator of where he might potentially be right now at the moment. There is a ranked matchup between a couple of ladies in Josiane Nunez taking on Chelsea Chandler. I think that if you're looking at who might be possibly the biggest lock on the card, it could be Nunez in this matchup. It's not that I don't like Chandler, but there's a considerable experience gap, and Nunez, she's a terror so far right now. She's sitting at 10-1, and I think that this is a good matchup for her against Chelsea Chandler. Rounding out a couple more here, just to mention on the prelims, you have veteran Ode Osborne of the flyweight division taking on Jafel Filio. You have Tiago Moises coming back into the equation against Mitch Ramirez, making his debut here on short notice. You have Josh Kulabau taking on Danny Silva. You have former LFA standout champion, world champion grappler in Jackie Armorim. She's going to be taking on Corey McKenna. Corey McKenna is a very well thought of young prospect coming up in the women's ranks. And there's all those fights that are going to be going down this Saturday. So make sure that you check out that action there on the Apex. Is there any fights in particular that you are interested in or that you guys out there have your eyes on? Are there a couple of leans that you may have in any particular direction? Let us know. We want to hear from you. We want to know what your thoughts are. Let us know on that Jocko Go hotline at 303-831-1340, or hit me up, Jordan Kurtz, at Comments from the Peanut Gallery on Instagram or on Threads. And yeah, just want to know what your thoughts are in the process there. Stick around after the break, though. We're going to be talking a couple of things across the combat sports world, and then we'll close out the hour by going 3 rounds. This is the MMA Plug on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio.
Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That helps us continue to produce this original MMA content and bring it for you every single week. Tune in to the MMA Plug on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio.